Hello and welcome to another episode of Property Particulars, the LA Residential Property Podcast. And today, my very, very special guest is Miss Alice Robertson.
Hello, thank you
Alice,
for having
welcome.
me.
How are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good. So I thought we would start by just finding out a little bit more about you.
Yes.
And your journey through Lester Aldridge, LA so far.
Yes.
You're currently a trainee.
I am indeed, yes.
Yes, in your
Third seat.
which is?
My third seat is International Private Client.
Yes, and you're kind of working in our Bournemouth office,
Yes,
majority
yeah.
for that just now?
Our head office in Bournemouth, yes.
Yeah, and you're enjoying that?
Yes, I am, yeah.
And how long have you been with us now at LA?
That's a good question. I'd say maybe 2.5 years.
2.5 years. I feel it's a lot longer.
Yes, it feels like we've been together for a while now.
Yeah, I think so. And so the exciting thing for you is that actually you started with us in the residential property team.
Yes, I did, as your paralegal.
As my paralegal working for me. And you worked for Taryn a little bit to begin with.
Yes, yeah, with Taryn as well, yeah.
And so I think it was, did a full year as a paralegal?
Yes.
And
Oh, yeah.
talk to me about your experiences
Well,
in
it
that.
was the best experience.
Lovely.
I learnt so much working with you.
Yeah.
About the transactions, the property transactions. We had a lot of great experiences.
Yeah.
A lot of stressful times.
Yes. So property work, I suppose I always used to say to anybody in our team meetings as well, but when you come in as a paralegal, I always think that you get an amazing experience as a paralegal, because in some other teams, in other jurisdictions of law, it might be a bit more procedural in what you're doing as a paralegal,
Yeah.
whereas I think you get quite a lot of client contact.
Definitely a lot of exposure to clients, especially like ultra high net worth clients. We worked on some amazing properties, and especially when you trusted me more.
Yes.
Like towards the end of my first year and in my first seat with you, I
Yeah.
was able to kind of like almost run files, which was an amazing experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a great help to me because that's what you want as like the, you know, when the work's rolling in and I need somebody to be able to just run a transaction
Yes.
with less involvement. So yes, as we went on, that of course that did happen. And then like you were even exchanging contracts yourself as a trainee.
Yeah, that was
How was
fun.
that?
I
Do you
mean,
remember
the
your first one?
The first one was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And we went and did it in a separate room because I didn't want to do it in front of the whole office.
I do. Yeah, that's also something I think it's a quite nice thing to do because
Yeah.
sometimes when you're in open plan offices, which we are,
Yes.
like I think individually you might think that everybody in the room is listening to you.
Yeah.
None of them are.
No, of course not.
But just sometimes it's just quite nice to do difficult calls or important calls
Yes.
a little bit away to begin with.
Even the first time answering the phone in the office, I thought everyone was judging the way I answered the phone.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, doing my first exchange was big. I also I had the opportunity to do one with commercial, which
yes.
was amazing when I had like a 3-way call. with
I
someone
remember that
commercial.
one. Yeah, that was a good transaction.
Yeah.
That was like a house and then some farmland
yes.
and agricultural fields.
Yeah, that was
that was a
fun.
good transaction. That was a good transaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so you became a trainee. You did your first seat
With you.
with me.
Yes.
And then reluctantly I had to let you go to experience another area of law. And so
Yes.
where did the Alice journey continue after that?
The Alice journey.
Yes.
So then we moved on to family.
Yeah.
And so I did my second seat in family in London.
Mm-hmm.
And then my third current seat in international private client. So I kind of stayed in the private wealth group, which is really nice.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe a difficult question, but what do you think that you have learned from each of your trainee seats?
Good question.
Yeah, I think
Okay. So from property, I think it's a lot about efficiency. I mean, we had some deals that were closing, like exchanges in a day.
Yeah.
So yes, just efficiency with work.
Mm-hmm.
Family, you're dealing with people's lives and difficult things they're going through. So I think that's a lot about emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And then my current seat, I am only 2 months in, so I've probably still got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But definitely attention to detail when we're drafting oaths and wills and fun things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And all of the skills you've just detailed are the perfect skills to get to become a lawyer.
Well, hopefully I'll make the perfect lawyer.
Exactly. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Interesting for you to say that efficiency was one of the things that you learned from the first seat in property,
Yes.
which I love because we have to be so on it with
yeah.
our transactions. So I suppose the 2 seats you've gone on to aren't maybe so transactional as residential property.
Agreed.
And like did you find it was like it's quite fast paced sometimes?
Yes, and especially, I mean, I'd had a little bit of law experience before, but this was my
great.
first proper job, and to come in and it was just so fast paced, and so much was happening.
Yeah, and I suppose like we have a lot of new transactions all the time.
Yes.
And I think because you have a great client contact attitude, I would say. So like it was so useful for me to get you helping me straight away on like speaking to the clients. Do you kind of quite like that aspect of it?
Oh, that's my favourite aspect.
Yeah?
I love chatting.
Yes.
And also you just meet these amazing clients that have amazing stories, and it's just that's the fun bit, really.
Yeah. Do you remember, I think it was in your first week.
It was my first week.
That I sent you to like across the country to collect a transfer deed.
Yeah.
And you like met somebody at a train station, maybe the client.
I did.
Yeah.
It was the client's assistant in the train station, so they could give me this transfer deed. And it felt like I was on some kind of like mission.
Treasure hunt.
Yeah, it was quite something.
Yeah, and actually then we did go together to meet clients externally, so it's not always in the office that we're meeting clients. So out and about is good, and also you're quite a key member with us in doing some of our business development activities.
Yeah.
Did you like that aspect of it?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the best aspects.
Yeah. Okay, Alice. So now we're going to switch from talking about property and the seats, etc., that you've done in Lester Aldridge. And I thought I would ask you, which I've been asking other people, about your property particulars. So, because I've heard, mainly from you, by showing me lots of
all
pictures,
the
that
time.
you are currently potentially house hunting.
Yes.
So tell me about that, and how has it been going, and is it stressful?
It's a hard old process trying to get on the property ladder, trying to find somewhere. I'm also a perfectionist, so I want the perfect place, the perfect property particular. I'm property particular.
I bet you are, yes. And have you done lots of viewings?
Yes, I've done a few, and I think it's hard to kind of imagine yourself somewhere. And I was actually speaking to someone at one of our BD events the other day, and they were saying when you're a first-time buyer, you're putting so much pressure on trying to find the perfect place, but actually it's just about making that first step and getting on to the property ladder.
That is great advice.
Yeah, well, I thought
think so. Yeah, because maybe you do want the actual perfect property, but that maybe happens on property number 2 or 3 down the line.
Yes, well, they were saying like the family house, when you get older and all of that starts happening, that's the one that you want to be perfect. So really it's just about kind of putting aside some of the details and settling a bit.
Good. Well, I hope when you do find a property that you get a really good lawyer to help you.
Yes, well, I know a few, so
Good.
yes.
Perfect, thank you. All right, we're going to switch to my mystery question,
Oh, go.
which
I'm
is connected to
excited.
the same as well.
Okay.
What would be your absolute dream property or house? So money is not an option, and this can be location, style, anything.
Can I have
Go
a
for
few?
It. I mean, you can have a few.
So one is a French chateau.
Gorgeous.
Yes, south of France.
Yeah.
But then I'd need a townhouse in London.
Yes.
I'd go in Notting Hill.
Notting Hill.
Yeah, it'd have to be.
Okay.
And just like gorgeous
With the
interior.
private garden, with the the ones that have got the private square gardens.
Well, quite nice. It's one of the terrace with the roof terrace, and maybe a pool in the basement.
I love it.
Yeah, so not setting my standards too high. Yes.
No. Okay, perfect.
What's yours?
Well, I have already said in a previous podcast as well. So I've done the townhouse.
Yes.
In Islington. So I know that's a little bit boring because that's where I live already. But I think you'll like the next one.
Oh, go on.
The villa in Ibiza.
Yes, that's a must.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is a must. Pool, maybe a little kind of walkway down to the beach.
To the clubs.
Yeah, maybe not the clubs. I think about the beach. Maybe my own little private jetty with a boat.
With a boat, yes. Like a
Perfect.
James Bond little boat, as I'm picturing.
So there we go. Let's put all of these together and make it happen.
Oh, yes. We can have quite the property portfolio.
Yeah, we will do. That's the next podcast, property portfolio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah. Alice, thank you so much for joining us on this
Thank
episode
you.
of Property Particulars.
Thank you for having me.
That's good. Please join us again for another episode of Property Particulars, and do remember to check us out on our Spotify channel and also social media. Check out Instagram at Lester Aldridge Property.